fresh from winning gold in the women's long jump at the 2026 Commonwealth Games in Glasgow and silver at the European Athletics Championships recently, Jazmin Sawyers joins me here in the Cross Rhythm studio. Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
It's really, really wonderful to have you here. Thank you so much for sparing some time to come and say hi. Presumably, you must be very, very pleased. I mean, we've got 2 medals here on the studio desk in front of you there, and you're holding it up now, a silver and gold.
It's pretty nice. I started the year, when I came off winter training from 2025, I wrote down some goals for the season, and I actually found the notebook the other day. I'd forgotten that I'd written it down. And in the notebook, it said, medal at both champs, win one. I now wish I'd just written win both champs, because maybe that was a sort of prediction notebook. But I actually had a really less than ideal preparation for 2 major championships, and so wasn't necessarily anticipating being able to come away with 2 medals.
Right.
So I'm so happy. This one, the silver, I only lost the gold by a centimetre, and you'd think that maybe that would make me a little upset about it, and that, you know, this one's a little bit sour. It's just not.
Right.
I don't know if I would feel much better this time around if I jumped a centimetre further and won. It was so special to be in front of the home crowds and to take a medal home both times.
Just from a fan perspective, really brilliant for British fans this year to have both the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, the European Championships in Birmingham. Great for Stoke fans as well, just down the road being in Birmingham. But is it helpful from a kind of an athlete's perspective to be on home soil?
Hugely. I know that for some people it feels like added pressure, but I think most athletes that you'd speak to would say it feels like extra help. When I've got a crowd waving British flags, waving signs that they've made, and I can hear someone very close to me in the crowd going, "Do it for Stoke." It really does do something for you. It pushes you down the runway faster.
Has that actually happened? Has someone actually shouted out, "Do it for Stoke"?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened during the final. During the final, I'm standing there trying to keep warm, sort of walking around, going over my cues that my coach has told me for the next round, and I genuinely hear someone go, "Do it for Stoke." And that really, really motivates me.
Yeah.
The fact that there are people from home that have come to watch that really want me to do it and to support, to represent the city, that means a lot to me.
You mentioned about it, you know, the championship, the silver and gold being emotional.
Yes.
Just unpack that a bit, because obviously it's an amazing achievement, but talk me through the emotion of it.
Yeah. So 2 years ago, in April of 2024, I was on a training camp, having a really great training camp, preparing for the Olympic Games in Paris.
Yeah.
And out of absolutely nowhere, no warning, I ruptured my right Achilles completely. I took off to do a hurdle jump. I thought the hurdle had hit me in the back of the leg. I hadn't touched the hurdle. What had happened is my Achilles had snapped and gone flying up somewhere inside my calf. And within 30 seconds, I knew that the year was over, that there would be no Olympics. And the worry was that there would potentially be no more career. I think there was a time where a full Achilles rupture, especially on the takeoff leg for long jump, would have been the end.
Right.
I was about to turn 30. I'm now 32. And I think a lot of people did think that would be the end. And I'm not upset with people for thinking that, because I think historically we haven't known how to rehab these kind of injuries that well. But my training partner, Katarina Johnson-Thompson, suffered the exact same thing in 2020. She ruptured her Achilles on her takeoff leg, and in 2023 became world champion in the heptathlon again. And so I already knew it was possible.
Yeah.
The physio came running over to me the moment I did it, and the first thing I asked, once I'd established that I had in fact ruptured my Achilles, I said to her, "Is my career over?" And she said no. Now, she could never have known that in that moment, but that was what I needed, because right there and then I decided, well, okay, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to be better than I've ever been. And fast forward 2 years to win Commonwealth gold after having suffered what really could have been a career-ending injury and take the title was really emotional for me. It was a moment that wrapped up all that work, not just from me, but from all the people behind the scenes. You know, the surgeon did a phenomenal job. My athletics coach, my strength and conditioning coach, my psychologist, my physios. It's been a huge team effort. that's not even to mention my parents, who made sure that in the early stages I was healing as well as I possibly could. You know, I talk to other athletes who've had this injury and they say, what do you do at the start? I said, I did nothing. And by nothing, I mean I was horizontal 24 hours a day.
Right.
But you can only do that when there's someone bringing you the food, and there's someone making sure that you're comfortable, and somebody else goes and gets the medication you have to take post-surgery. And that was my parents. And so, yes, this was an emotional victory for me, but it also felt like a victory for everyone who'd believed that I could get there.
Yeah.
And so it's really special.
Yeah. Were your parents there?
Yes. Yeah, they were there. I got to see them, and they came to Birmingham as well. Like you said, because it's so close, I had loads of support, loads of family and friends that decided to come to watch. It's been a really great year for me to have a great year. The surgeon said 2 years ago not to worry if I'm not at my best in 2025, that it would take 2 years to be back. So I always had this down as, okay, well, after this, it will be a run into the Olympic Games, but we've got a home Commonwealth and a home Europeans. That's a really good time to make an impact, to win some medals, and to get back to feeling like me as an athlete. And that's exactly what this year has been. And I've actually had, especially at Europeans, my best series of jumps of my life. I'm 1 centimetre short of the longest jump I've ever done, a lifetime best outdoors, and 4 jumps over 6 meters 90. When 7 is that magic number. So it, bar jumping a centimetre further and winning the title in Birmingham, because I only lost by a centimetre, and because my next best jump was better than the winner's next best jump, I'd have won if we'd had an equal top jump. Apart from that, I can't think of a way it could have been better.
A couple of years on from the injury, do you feel like you've come back stronger now?
Yes, absolutely. I think I'm physically stronger, which is one thing, and that's important, of course. In sport, my body needs to be able to tolerate the forces that I put through it. But mentally, it's given me something that I don't think you can get without going through an injury like that. Spending a year watching my friends live out their dreams, but also live out my dreams. You know, I had friends that I ended up commentating for the Paris Olympics with BBC, and to get to commentate on my friends living out their dreams was so special, but also put such a fire in me that it will be me next time.
Right.
You know, I'll be back out there with them.
Yeah.
And they've been wanting it for me too. The support that I've had throughout this comeback has been so good. And it does, I feel like a better athlete because I've had to go through the injury. It's almost every time something bad happens now, something small that's bad, I go, well, I've come back from an Achilles rupture, so this isn't a big deal. I can handle this. I feel equipped to handle anything.
Yeah. In competitive sport, athletes have to face setbacks and challenges, and I guess we all do in life in many different ways. Are the things that you've learned, you know, over the last couple of years or so in athletics that just you think applies to life just more generally? Yeah,
I think most of what I've learned, apart from the very specifics of when to isometrically load a calf, I think most of the wider lessons that I've learned can be applied everywhere. I think one thing I have found to be incredibly important is it's other people that make the biggest difference, and the network you have around you it's never just you. You know, I'm in an individual sport. When you watch athletics on TV, you see one person standing on the runway in long jump. You see that one person run and jump. But I did not at any point go through this on my own. And it was the people that I had around me that got me through it that made the difference. And I think in something as visibly individual as long jump, when I say that it's not individual at all, I think that can apply so widely. I know that it's thanks to other people that I'm able to do this. And I think asking for help from those people and accepting the help that people want to offer you is just, it's huge. You don't have to do things on your own. And that can be anything. I think a lot of people feel as though it's less of an achievement if they accepted help. And that just isn't true. Everybody who achieves anything did it with help. And it's not weak to take that help. It strengthens you, it strengthens them. It means that you have a full network of people who want to see you thrive, and you do, whether you believe it or not. People around you want you to succeed, and accept that help. Take it, build your community and accept the love of that community, because they are there for you and you can be there for them. Now my boyfriend was an incredible support to me during my injury, and he's now suffered a hamstring rupture, and I hope that I'm now being there for him in the way that he was for me, because I know how much of a difference it made.
Yeah, I was going to take you back to just getting into athletics here in Stoke-on-Trent.
Yes.
So you were born and raised in Stoke-on-Trent. So let's go back some years to when you were kind of just getting into athletics.
Yeah.
How did that all begin?
So I think, like a lot of people, I tried it in school. We had a sand pit down the bottom of the playing fields. I tried long jump. We did high jump on the crash mats in the school hall, and kids are racing around, and I was fast. But I was already a gymnast, a competitive gymnast, because my auntie had taken me to gym in Burslem, and I'd seen the Olympics on TV, and I thought that's what I want to do. But by 9 years old, I had realised that I wasn't going to be an Olympic gymnast. I wasn't good enough. I came next to last in the age group nationals in gymnastics.
Right.
And from then was like, okay, well, what else? Because I have to do this.
Okay.
It felt like it was within me. I had to do it. And I tried athletics at school. And so when my gymnastics coach left the club, it felt like a really good opportunity to change sports and to try athletics. And I ended up in a training group at Northwood Stadium with Jim Talbot and Tony Williams, both of whom sadly now have passed away, but who took me on as an athlete, and they were so phenomenal. And I loved going down to Northwood. I would go 2 or 3 times a week. All my friends were there. It was competitive, but it was fun. And it enabled me to progress as an athlete and, to be honest, as a person, but to also just be a kid. Socially, that was where my friends were.
Yeah.
So I would go to the track, yes, to hang out, but also I was getting better and better and better as things went on. And with athletics, it's nice because it is just so objective. If you jump further, if you run faster, if you throw further, then you get to progress to the next level. And so I would compete for the club, and then for the city and the county, and eventually aged 15 for the country for the first time. And it felt right to me. I felt like I understood something about myself, that I have an opportunity here to be the best person at something in the world. And that's a crazy thought still, that I finished 8th at 2 global championships, and to me what that says is, on that day I could search anywhere and only 7 people on the planet are going to be able to beat me at the thing that I do. And that's so cool. But unfortunately I still am aggressively competitive, and that's 7 too many. So I'm always looking to try and do more. And I've been that way since I was a little kid. Yeah. I loved training then. I love competing a lot more. And it has been a journey that entire time of figuring out how to eke out 1 more centimetre, 2 more centimetres. Yeah. And it's a fun puzzle to be part of.
You've got to have that attitude, haven't you? You've got to be super laser focused, and to have that attitude. I might be 7th best in the world. That is absolutely amazing, but there are more spaces that I need to get further up that list.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Are you able to connect then with young athletes still in the city, or is just like now, or are you just kind of too busy in the training and the preparations for all that you're involved with?
So I don't regularly train at Northwood still. I now train at Loughborough University. But I try and get, but I always compete in my Stoke vest when I go to the national championships. I think some athletes move clubs, and I understand why they do, because they're able to compete in higher leagues and some clubs will pay them. But because I'm lucky enough to have a kit sponsor for the rest of the year, I don't need to do that. So I do get to pull on the Stoke vest and compete for Stoke when it comes to British championships. And I love doing that. I love when I get to pull my Stoke vest out and compete for the club. I would actually like to be down at the club more often. I think I'm away on camps sometimes and competitions.
Sure.
And I'm not a coach. I think that's a very important thing to say, is that I don't have any coaching experience. I don't have any coaching prowess, and I don't have any coaching qualifications. And so sometimes I do get asked, can you come and help with a session? But I'm not a coach. I'll happily give some technical advice if it's something that I see, but it's purely based on experience rather than actual learned knowledge.
But even just being there, and interacting with people, and given the achievements that you've had, that in itself is a help. I would have thought.
I hope so. During my injury, I was able to actually do a sort of full afternoon where I ran a bit of a clinic. We talked to some of the athletes and coaches about how the menstrual cycle can affect can affect all female athletes, and how coaches can be having better conversations with athletes about that, because it's something that still a lot of athletes find difficult to talk about, but can have a real impact on performance. And it was really nice to be able to do that at Stoke and to have those conversations that I couldn't have at these athletes' ages, and to hopefully help give them the language to do it, because I think my career would have been better earlier if I'd been able to do that. So I hope that sometimes I'm still able to have some impact. But no, you know what? Now that we've had this conversation, I actually want to get down to the club more. If they want to have me, they're busy training, so I don't know if they want somebody just wandering around.
I don't think they say no. But looking ahead, then what's your focus now? So
there are still a few possible competitions left this season. I might make the World Ultimate Championships, which is a new champs. That kind of depends on how other people jump this next week. So the season could be over. And if it is, then I'm looking to the next 2 years, which are very exciting. We've got the World Championships in Beijing next year, and then the Olympic Games in Los Angeles in 2028. They're both really exciting for me. One, because, I missed the last Olympics and I've always had a goal of winning an Olympic medal. But also for Beijing, I actually went out with my family. My family took me to go and watch the Olympics in 2008 in Beijing, before I'd ever competed internationally. It was a dream for me, and to go and sit in that stadium and watch the best athletes in the world. So that's a full circle moment for me, the chance to go back and, instead of being in the stands, being down there on the runway. And then it'll be the big build to LA. The previous two Olympics that I competed in, I finished 8th in them both, and realistically that was a good result for where I was as an athlete in both of those. Now I have jumped distances that win medals, and I've done it multiple times, and I think I can get better. I'm better than I've ever been currently, age 32, and I don't see any reason why I wouldn't keep improving. So I couldn't be more excited about these next 2 years. The big focus is just on staying healthy. I think having had the year out with injury, it's taught me so much that the biggest thing is actually being in the game, being there and being fit. But it's such a huge opportunity these next 2 years. I just feel I'm so grateful that I get to do this. That if I could tell me at 14 in Beijing that you will do this at least until you're 32, like this will be your life, I think my mind would have been blown. This is my dream, and part of that is a world medal, an Olympic medal, but I'm kind of already living it.
Yeah, amazing. Well, I'm sure you know it already, but Stoke-on-Trent is very proud of all that you've done, and we are rooting for whatever comes next over the next 2 years.
Thank you so much. I do feel it. I do feel the support from Stoke. I get so many messages from home, and it means so much to me to be able to represent the city and to have the city cheering me on. So thank you.
Yeah. Go on, do it for Stoke.
Do it for Stoke.
It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.